Hey, it's Lindsay, y'all. Here with another fun video. This time, I want to talk to you a little bit about gendering and naming when addressing trans people. So, what kind of sparked this was a few instances of being misgendered and dead named recently. So, for those who don't know, I may have covered this before. Misgendering is when you are quite simply referred to as a gender that you're not. With people that you know, hopefully it's accidental in that it's, just what they're used to. In theory, there are people who may do it intentionally, aggressively, purposefully. These are not cool. But then there's also, just people out in the world, people that you see, um, people who call you on the phone, things like that. Um, and they don't know better because, you're not passing enough, or you're not, giving enough indicator of what your gender is. And that's tricky. It's a tricky one. So I just kind of want to talk about that a little bit, and then dead naming, of course, as I've mentioned before. My name is Lindsay, but that is obviously not the name that I was given by my parents when I was born, and so my dead name is that other name, which I don't use anymore, and it's admittedly still out there. I have a lot of paperwork and things that still have that name on it that I haven't changed over yet. And I'm slowly working through those things. And so the same thing applies with dead naming as it does with misgendering. Sometimes it's people who who just are struggling to get switched over. Sometimes there are people who are doing it purposefully because they refuse to acknowledge who you are, and sometimes it's just, like I said, like if you don't have everything cut over on your paperwork, or whatever things you've got going, people might use that old name like when they call you. So I guess, so I've had a few instances of both recently. Um, I had an instance with my mom where she dead named me, and it was an accident. Um, but she refused to acknowledge my actual name, even though she knows that it is now legally my name. My mom is struggling with my transition, and so I think for her, she feels like the respectful way for her to deal with it is by avoiding my name and avoiding gendered language. Um, and while I appreciate not being gendered as male, that's still not really, it's still not really hitting home because it's like, I, I'm female and I want to be recognized as female. So if you're just ignoring gender completely, you're sort of invalidating part of my existence. And that doesn't feel good either. Um, and I've got, you know, I've still got coworkers who I've been out at work for over 5 months at this point. Um, and some of them I'll admit I don't talk to terribly often. But I have one coworker in particular who has a bad habit of dead naming me on calls. And so like it's hit and miss with her. Most of the time she's doing okay, but I swear it's like every call that I have with her, she will dead name me once. And it would be fine if we were only on calls with like people who also knew me pre-transition. But when it's with new people, because we've had some leadership changes, and quite a few leadership changes in the last few years, it's hard because even though I know those leaders know that I'm trans, and I know that they know my dead name because legally I was still that other name when when they came around. But those folks have always been really, really respectful of it and really mindful. So I don't know. Even though they know it, I'd still rather they not hear it, because it feels. While I know my coworker is not being disrespectful intentionally, it still hurts. It's still a form of invalidation. So I don't know. These are things that hurt. Um, and then today I got a random call from somebody soliciting some money for some cause that I really am not going to support. So I was already a little sour about that, and then he calls me sir, and like I get it. My voice is not great. I'm working on it. Um, I know it's not great even right now, but I'm thinking about it, and I'm putting thought and effort into making my voice sound a little bit better. And I'll be honest, when I answered that call, I wasn't. Um, to be honest, I was expecting it to be from a campaign worker for a local Senate candidate. I already told them I've submitted my ballot, and yes, I've voted for your candidate. Please stop calling me, and please stop asking me to help, you know, spread the word about this candidate. Like, I'm pretty sure they're going to lose, but they got my vote for what it's worth. But I'm not really going to expend any effort because they're also not who I really wanted in the primary anyway. It's complex. I know it is what it is. But so I was actually expecting the call to be them, and I was going to ask them yet again to stop calling me. But it was this other guy, and so yeah, he called me sir, and I didn't like that. And I didn't bother to correct him because it's kind of not worth it if it's somebody that you're never ever going to interact with again. Like if this was the a barista that I regularly see at Starbucks, I would probably correct them. Not that Starbucks usually gets it wrong, other than that one time that I've mentioned previously. But they usually get it right. So it hurts. It hurts to get dead named. It hurts to get misgendered. Um, and there's a flip side to that, of course. Being gendered correctly and having your actual name be acknowledged by people, it always feels good. I've got, like I said, I have my name changed over in a lot of places. Obviously, I'm out to all of my friends and my family and my coworkers. And for the most part, most of those people are using my name properly and using my pronouns properly. And, I was actually on a call with a coworker that I don't think I've talked to since March or whenever this whole quarantine thing started. And it was just really nice that, she jumped in and was using the right name and the right pronouns. And then it's a little thing, and I don't even know I necessarily noticed it with her, but I did, and I appreciated it. She'll probably never see this video, but if she does, then she'll know that I appreciated it if she can figure out that I was talking about her. Um, so that's it with people that you know. It's different when it's people that you don't know. That feels more validating in a lot of ways, because it at a minimum, like, to that one person you passed. Passing's not supposed to be everything. I know this is. I don't know if I've talked about this before, but it's kind of a thing. Like, you want to pass as your gender. You don't want people to be confused about it. A lot of trans people. I feel like most binary trans people, like, they do want to pass, but within the trans community, it's a thing that people always say is that passing should not be the goal. You should be living authentically for yourself, and that should be what's important. It shouldn't matter what other people think. And I appreciate that and I respect it. But for me, a big part of my social aspect of my dysphoria is because I need people to see me as a woman. So I need my voice to be passable as a woman. I need people to look at me and see me as a woman. And when they don't, when I get sirred out in public, it sucks. It really sucks, especially when you think you're looking actually kind of cute. But you know, the other thing is, again, with that is some people will intentionally avoid gendered language because they're really not sure. Um, I feel like I've experienced that, and it sucks because it happens even at times when I feel like I am presenting in a very feminine way. Um, I got basically non-gendered at Target one time because I don't know, and it frustrated me because I interacted with like 4 or 5 people that worked there, and I feel like I didn't get a ma'am or a miss or anything out of any of them, and that was frustrating because I really thought I was going to get it that day. I felt good. I thought I was going to get gendered correctly by strangers, and it didn't happen. But then I think I talked about this incident was, a month or two ago. I was in my car at a drive-through window, and the guy comes over and hands me my drink and says, "Here you go, sir." And I hadn't said anything, so it wasn't my voice that gave me away. Like, I hadn't spoken to him, but I was sitting there in my car in a dress with painted nails and, you know, big ass hoop earrings. And my hair was really cute. And I'm just thinking, like, dude, what about this says sir to you? Like, even if you look at my face and you think, yeah, that's a guy face, what about the rest of this? Like, yeah. But I did say I was going to get to the other side of this. So, the other side of this is, I know I mentioned in my last video that I was working on getting my gender marker changed. And so to do that, I needed to update my passport. And to update my passport, I actually had to talk to an acceptance agent and send it through them. And so, one of the common ways to do that is through the post office. So I made my appointment and I went in, and there was a person in front of me that was still doing their stuff when I got there. So, they asked me to step off to the side and wait. And so I was standing off to the side and waiting, but it wasn't terribly far off from where the line for the actual, like, just normal postal patrons was. And so I'm just hanging out there and I'm sitting on my phone, and I had just gotten out of my voice therapy class, or not class, but session before that. And we'd actually been talking about nonverbals and some other little things that kind of help convey, like body language and things like that. Which I think for the most part I do pretty well. I think I have, my mannerisms are kind of naturally feminine in a lot of ways. Yeah. So, but I was thinking about that, and like I was standing a particular way when I was there waiting at the post office, and so this guy comes up kind of over behind me, and so the clerk calls him over, and I guess he was looking over at me, the other patron, and he goes, "Ma'am." And so I turn and I'm like, "Oh, I'm not in line. You can go ahead." But I was smiling a lot after that. I was smiling a lot, and it felt really good. And I went to some of my online communities and I was like, "Oh my God, I got gendered correctly by a stranger." And it feels so good. And like, there are a couple other times where it's happened and it was kind of iffy. Like, there were other cues and things. Like, one time it was talking about my purse and she said her. And but this was just, I was literally just standing there looking at my phone, and this guy comes up and he calls me ma'am, and it felt really good. Um, and then I don't know if it was the same day or the next day, I had another instance. So I am, because I'm, as I've mentioned, I'm going through a divorce. So I'm putting myself back out there for dating. So I'm on a number of different apps. Um, and so there was somebody that I matched with on Bumble. And so she had liked me first, and then I liked her. And so then I had to message her. And so we got to talking, and then we started texting. And so for me, it's really important that I make it known on my dating profiles that I am trans. I don't want to surprise anybody. I don't want to feel like anybody feels like I'm, deceiving them or anything like that. And I'm not ashamed of who I am. And I want somebody who's going to love me for me. So, so it's on my profile. It's pretty clear, I think. So I'm hitting it off with this woman, and we're chit chatting, and we just kind of talked about, like how 2020 is a bitch, and talk about everything else that's going on in my life. And so one of the things I mentioned was transitioning in my late 30s. And so, so, so then she asked me, and I thought this was odd. She asked me, so are you transitioning to male or are you transitioning to female? And so I thought, okay, so at the very least, my pictures look, I guess, androgynous at best at that point, is what I'm thinking. Even though there's like, my name is Lindsay, which is mostly considered a female name. Um, but like in my pictures, I'm wearing dresses and things, like presenting in a very female way, I think. Um, so I say, I'm trans feminine. And we talked about that a little bit. And I said, well, I guess you saw that I was on. I guess it must be a good sign that, like, at least you didn't think, you didn't know for sure. That's better than like knowing for sure that I'm transitioning to a woman, I guess, because, I did mention it in my profile. And she's like, oh, I didn't actually see it in your profile. Um, Awkward. So we talked about trans stuff for a while because she had never dated anyone that was trans, and um, it ended up not working out, not because I'm trans, but because I don't want kids. And so she's in her early 30s, but she still thinks she might want to have kids, and she thinks she wants to have kids, and that's kind of off the table for me. Um, just I don't really want them at this point. Um, and so I asked her before we stopped messaging. I was like, "Hey, so I have to ask, like, since you didn't know I was trans, what did you see in my pictures?" Like, and she said, "I just saw any other woman. That's all I saw." That's what I'm going for. I mean, I guess that's passing privilege. Um, yeah. So I'm stoked about that because I'm only a year in on this, and I know I have a long way to go with the hormones and with getting my style together and continuing to grow out my hair, even though I like where it's at. Obviously, I want it to grow longer. Like I said, I'm still growing it out. Um, but yeah, so she just saw a woman. So I told her that if she ever changes her minds about the kid thing being a hard requirement, to shoot me a message, because I think, we both really enjoyed talking to each other. And she said, she indicated that she was like, maybe we can just be friends because I really enjoyed talking to you. And I think, I felt the same way. So I told her, if the kids thing is ever not a deal breaker, I've still got a few more years on on this, second puberty train. So I'm just going to keep getting prettier and my boobs are going to get bigger. So just putting that out there. Um, yeah, so I feel good. Like if I'm passing at least part of the time now, in 6 months, a year, we'll see. Let me just smack my microphone. So I don't know. I'm interested to see where things go in that regard. Hopefully, I'll get less of the people who know me dead naming me. Hopefully, someday my mom will actually use my name. We'll see. I don't know. That's all I got today. I think I've talked about this a lot before, but with those new instances, I just thought I'd bring it up again. In conclusion, misgendering and dead naming sucks, and it makes trans people feel like shit. So try to avoid it if you can. We understand if it's an accident, it still hurts, but we're gonna try not to hold it against you because people do make mistakes. If you are intentionally dead naming and misgendering people, you can go fuck yourself. And if you are one of those people who is trying actively to make sure that you're getting the name right, you're getting the gender right, I love you. Thank you. And if you're a stranger out there who happens to gender me correctly, I love you too, even though I'll never probably ever see you again. Yeah, it's a good feeling. So I'm rambling now. I'm gonna go. Like, subscribe, hit the little bell thingy that gives you notifications so you can see my videos when they pop up. And until next time, love and hugs.